So you might think that VR is actually something relatively new, that it started perhaps in the beginning of the 90s. That may be true, but actually there are some very nice precursors of VR that show that it's actually quite an old idea. So here's actually a picture from a newspaper from 1897, the Wheel and Cycling Trade Review, in which the idea for VR to be used at home by consumers was already presented. So here the idea was, if it's raining outside, if you don't want to go outside cycling, you might just take your bike inside and present some nice input to your eyes that's different from your actual living room. And this is what they called improved indoor cycling. That would be an example of the idea for a virtual reality headset, right? But actually also in the 19th century already, painters had ideas that very much resemble what we call a cave today. And they painted so-called panoramas. So here's a very famous panorama in the Netherlands, Panorama Mesdag in The Hague, that you can still visit under normal circumstances. And those painters actually created a painting that would surround the people looking at this painting. So here you see the entire painting actually, and this painting is made in such a way that it really surrounds the visitors. And here the idea is you can just go to The Hague. You don't have to go to the beach. You can go to The Hague and actually have a look at the sea and the beach without actually going there. So quite realistic paintings that sort of transport you to a different world. Well, actually also in the 19th century, people already started working on those so-called what they called stereoscopes, where indeed you present different inputs to your two eyes, creating this kind of 3D illusion that still today, very many of those headsets still rely on. And this we've seen before, right? So a slightly different input is presented to your two eyes, creates the illusion that it's in 3D. Your brain calculates on the basis of those two different streams of visual information, creates a 3D image. And because this is so close to your eyes, you get the impression that you're in this different world that's presented right in front of your eyes, to your eyes directly. Actually, this very old idea, more than a century old, is actually reality today. People are sitting at home with a headset on their head, cycling. So if it's raining outside, they can just stay inside and cycle there. And if you really want to lose weight or something, you can even have yourself, while you're cycling, being chased by zombies, such that you cycle a bit faster and lose calories as quickly as you can. And here you see an example of a present-day cave. So this cave setup, you could say, is the present-day panorama. People are surrounded by a panorama, a different world, and they can have all sorts of experiences there. The nice thing about those caves, of course, is that they can have dynamic experiences, rather than those static caves that were painted and were always the same once they were painted. But you can meet all sorts of animals that you cannot meet in the real world, and that can also be dynamic. So they can move and you can move around yourself, and the world actually adapts to what you're doing.